One of the most common questions I get from families who are relocating here is, Michelle, should we live in Santa Barbara or Montecito? And I completely understand why this feels confusing. On paper, they look almost identical. They're minutes apart, they share the same coastline and weather, and you can drive from one to the other without even realizing you've crossed a boundary. But when you're raising a family here, they feel completely different. I've worked with families who choose Santa Barbara and tell me their daily life feels easy and that things flow. I've also worked with families who choose Montecito and say they finally felt calm for the first time in years. So I'm going to break this down in a very practical and local way by sharing what your actual days look like when you're raising kids here. Choosing between Santa Barbara and Montecito isn't really a real estate decision. It's a lifestyle decision. And if you get it right, life feels lighter. If you get it wrong, it usually doesn't fail loudly, it fails quietly. The energy of each place is something you feel immediately. In Santa Barbara, life is visible. If you live in neighborhoods like the Mesa, San Roque, Samarkand, or parts of the Upper East, you'll see kids walking to school in the morning, parents on bikes with trailers, families at Shoreline Park in the afternoon, or walking the waterfront path before dinner. There's motion around you. You can walk to a coffee shop, bike to the beach, and run into each other without planning it. That visibility creates momentum, especially with young kids. A lot of parents tell me they feel less isolated in Santa Barbara, even if they're new, because the environment naturally puts you around people. You don't have to work as hard to feel connected. In Montecito, on the other hand, life is quieter and more intentional, even in areas close to Coast Village Road or the Lower and Upper Village. Most families are still driving to school, activities, and to meet friends. Homes are set back, lots are larger, streets are quieter. Families who choose Montecito usually want their home to feel like a retreat. They want privacy, control over their environment, and a sense of separation from the outside world. If you're coming from a busy city, Montecito can feel incredibly grounding. But if walkability, spontaneity, and visible community are part of your identity, Montecito can initially feel still. Not bad, just still. So the real question here isn't which one is better, it's whether you want life to come to you or whether you want to retreat from it. The differences also show up in how kids actually experience growing up here. In Santa Barbara, kids tend to grow up more publicly, in neighborhoods near local elementary schools, especially places like San Roque, the Mesa, or near downtown. School kids walk together, ride bikes, meet up at parks, and gain independence earlier. Parents often tell me they're comfortable letting their kids roam a bit more because there are always other families around. Kids here learn how to navigate groups, manage different personalities, and interact with a wider range of people early on. Childhood is more contained in Montecito. Kids spend more time at home, in nature, on their property, or with a smaller, tighter circle of friends. Playdates are more intentional. Friendships tend to be fewer, but deeper. A lot of Montecito kids grow up hiking local trails, spending time at the beach during quieter hours, riding bikes on private roads, and living a very nature-forward lifestyle. Neither childhood is better, they're just fundamentally different. Santa Barbara supports early independence through exposure. Montecito supports emotional grounding through consistency. Where families get into trouble is when their expectations don't match the environment. I've seen parents move to Montecito expecting a lively, social neighborhood feel and be disappointed when it doesn't happen automatically. And I've seen families move to Santa Barbara expecting peace and quiet and feel overwhelmed by the activity. The environment doesn't override your parenting style, it amplifies it. Logistics is something almost every relocating family underestimates. In Santa Barbara, things are generally closer together. School drop-offs, grocery stores, practices, beaches, they're often part of the same loop. You can stack your day efficiently. Less time in the car means more energy at home. In Montecito, logistics can sometimes require a bit more intention. Distances can be a bit longer, traffic patterns matter more, especially if you need to get to different parts of the city. Certain school routes can simply turn your day into a long one if you're not careful. This doesn't bother families who expect a slower cadence, but it frustrates families who assume life will feel equally convenient everywhere. This is why I always tell families, don't just tour houses, drive the routes. Do a mock weekday, because how your day flows will matter far more than how your house photographs. When families choose Santa Barbara, they often say, this feels like us right now. When families choose Montecito, they often say, this feels like where we want to stay. Santa Barbara tends to optimize for daily enjoyment, walkability, energy, and community. Montecito tends to optimize for long-term stability, privacy, space, and consistency. Problems usually arise when families want long-term roots but choose Santa Barbara, or want daily stimulation but choose Montecito. Neither place is wrong. Each one just asks something different of you. After years of working with relocating families, here's what I've noticed. Families who thrive in Santa Barbara usually enjoy movement and walkability, like being around other families naturally, want kids to gain independence earlier, and value convenience and accessibility. Families who thrive in Montecito usually value privacy and calm, prefer controlled environments, want home to feel like a sanctuary, and prioritize emotional steadiness. When you choose the place that matches your values, life feels easier almost immediately. If you're deciding between Santa Barbara and Montecito, here's the real takeaway. Don't choose based on reputation, price alone, or on what sounds impressive. Choose based on how you want your days to feel like. I offer private relocation strategy calls for clients trying to decide between these two areas. It's not a sales call. It's a clarity call to make sure the lifestyle, schools, and micro locations actually align with your needs before you commit. And if this video helped you see the difference more clearly, let me know in the comments, because clarity is how you choose right.